Schadenfreude. Baby. Let's kick this off with a word that sounds like a sneeze and feels like a guilty pleasure. Schadenfreude. It's German, because of course it is. And it basically means, haha, you tripped, and I feel slightly better about my life now. If you've ever chuckled at someone slipping on ice or cringed at a reality show meltdown while secretly enjoying every second of it, congratulations. You're not evil, you're just wired like the rest of us. Schadenfreude isn't just pettiness in a trench coat, it's an actual psychological response. Our brains are constantly evaluating social rank, fairness, and our own self-worth. So when someone fails, especially someone successful, arrogant, or just luckier than us, our brain gets a little dopamine snack. Like, oh, Chad, the office golden boy, got rejected? Suddenly my existential dread is 10% lighter. Studies using fMRI scans. Yes, scientists actually watched brains, while people watched others fail. This is real. Show increased activity in the reward centers of the brain. When people see someone they envy, experience misfortune. Basically, your brain's like, finally, balance is restored. Chad bleeds like the rest of us. But it's not always about envy. Sometimes it's just reassurance. Watching someone else fail or struggle reminds us we're not alone in our clumsy, messy humanity. Your crush ghosted you? Well, at least you didn't fall into a fountain while texting like that guy on YouTube with 3 million views. So no, you're not a monster for laughing when someone walks into a glass door. You're just evolutionarily calibrated to enjoy a little justice-flavored popcorn. The emotional safety zone. Here's the weird part. We know these people are suffering, and yet, we're cozy, snuggled up in bed, watching it, eating chips, maybe even rewinding it. That's because there's a psychological safety net between us and their misery, and it's made entirely out of detachment and popcorn grease. When we watch someone else experience something awful, whether it's a cringy breakup, a public meltdown, or that one show where people voluntarily eat worms for money, our brain processes it like a story, not a threat. It's danger adjacent, emotionally spicy, but totally safe. This is what psychologists call vicarious experience. Your brain lights up in a very similar way to the actual person going through the bad thing, but because you're not actually in that situation, you get to dip your toes in without the consequences. It's like watching a horror movie, but instead of ghosts, it's someone getting fired on live television. You get the thrill of conflict, pain, or humiliation with none of the cleanup. There's also a fun little thing called emotional regulation. Watching someone else's chaos lets you practice your own reactions. Like, would I cry on national television after being rejected on a dating show? Maybe. But now I know what not to do. It's a low-stakes playground for your empathy, your judgment, and your lizard brain desire to yell, yikes, from a safe distance. It's like your brain saying, thank you, stranger, for making that mistake so I don't have to. So yeah, you're basically doing emotional training drills when you binge-watch reality show disasters. You're practically a mental health professional. Monkey see, monkey flinch. Let's talk about mirror neurons, which sound like something out of a sci-fi movie but are actually just little brain cells that help us feel other people's pain, kinda. When you see someone get hurt, like, say, a skateboarder lands groin first on a railing, you might physically flinch, clutch your own parts, or scream internally. That's your mirror neurons firing. They're basically your brain's way of saying, oof, I don't have a skateboard, but I felt that. Mirror neurons are why we wince during cringe comedy, why we cringe at public embarrassment, and why some of us can't watch medical scenes without curling up like a pill bug. Your brain is running a simulation. What if that were me? And the simulation has no chill. But here's where it gets twisted. Those same mirror neurons, the ones that make you feel for someone else, also make suffering more interesting. Pain, conflict, humiliation. They grab our attention. They light up the empathy center and the what happens next center. It's why shows like Fail Army, Dr. Pimple Popper, or Survivor work. We're hardwired to tune in when someone else's body or ego takes a hit. It's instinct like rubbernecking at a car crash, but on your phone. This reflex likely evolved to help us learn through observation. Like, oh, Dave ate the weird berries and now he's convulsing? cool. I'll just skip that part of the forest. Except now it's more like, oh, she said I love you after one date and he ghosted her? Good to know. So if you've ever said I can't watch this while absolutely watching it, congrats. Your monkey brain is doing its job. The Fairness Fetish. Humans have a weird little obsession with fairness. Like deeply weird. It's why we scream at bad parking jobs, cheer when villains get what's coming, and secretly enjoy it when someone who had it coming finally trips over their own ego in high definition. Psychologists call this the just world hypothesis. It's the belief, often totally delusional, that people get what they deserve, that good is rewarded and bad gets smacked in the face by a cosmic frying pan. Spoiler: the universe doesn't work like that, but our brains really want it to. So when we see someone suffer who we think deserves it, our brains get a little reward jolt, a justice snack. Like, ah yes, the influencer who cut in line at Starbucks just got dumped on TikTok? Delicious karma. This is especially true in competitive shows, reality television, and public scandals. We're not just watching drama, we're tracking perceived fairness. Who's cheating? Who's arrogant? Who needs to be knocked down a peg? And when it happens, oh, that's the dopamine moment. Even fictional characters fall into this. Ever notice how satisfying it is when the villain gets a dramatic downfall, even if it's totally over the top? That's your fairness wiring demanding closure. Push them into the lava. Do it. For balance. Now, does this make us petty goblins thirsting for digital vengeance? A little bit. But it also helps us make sense of a chaotic world. If we can believe, even briefly, that jerks get what they deserve, it makes the whole life is random and unfair thing a little easier to swallow. So yeah, when a rude contestant gets blindsided on a dating show and you feel a little glow of satisfaction, that's not evil. That's your inner justice accountant giving you a thumbs up. Schadenfreude, baby. Okay, time to bring out the fancy German word, Schadenfreude, which literally translates to damage joy, as in the pleasure you feel when someone else messes up, fails, or faceplants into a metaphorical or literal pile of garbage. You don't want to be that person, but also, you're kind of glad you're not, and that tiny victory spark lights up your brain like a smug little campfire. Schadenfreude is basically your emotional comfort food when someone higher up the social ladder takes a tumble, like when a millionaire gets roasted in court, or when your overachieving coworker finally bombs a presentation, or when an influencer gets canceled for something they definitely should have seen coming. Why do we love this so much? Well, part of it comes from evolutionary psychology. Humans are wired to keep track of social status. If someone around you is a threat to your status, more attractive, more powerful, more annoying, watching them fall levels the playing field. It gives your ego a leg stretch. Ah, balance has returned. And no, it doesn't mean you're a monster. Schadenfreude isn't always about cruelty. Sometimes it's just relief. Relief that someone else made the mistake. That your own flaws are still safely in the background. That life isn't only coming for you this week. Even little kids experience it. Like, watch a toddler when their sibling gets in trouble, that smug little smirk. Textbook Schadenfreude. No German required. So if you've ever laughed at a YouTube fail compilation, or enjoyed just a little too much when a smug character in a movie gets humbled, congrats. You're not broken. You're just a human, with a slightly spicy empathy filter. Your brain loves predictable pain. Ever wonder why you can watch the same cringy moment in a show again and again and still feel that secondhand embarrassment surge through your bones? Like, you know the awkward dinner scene is coming. You've seen it before, but your stomach still knots like you're the one making the toast that ruins Thanksgiving. Here's the creepy part. Your brain likes it. There's something called predictive coding in neuroscience, which basically means your brain is always guessing what will happen next. It's constantly running a simulation of the world to keep you from walking into traffic or trusting your ex again. When you watch someone suffer emotionally, physically, socially, and it matches your expectations, your brain goes, nice, nailed it. Even if the content is brutal or awkward, there's comfort in the predictability. It's familiar discomfort, a safe kind of horror. That's why rewatching painful scenes is weirdly satisfying. It's the same principle behind horror movies, tragic documentaries, or those viral "this aged poorly" clips. The outcome sucks for the people involved, but your brain loves that it called it. Even emotional suffering like breakups, betrayals, or public failures becomes a kind of twisted bedtime story when we know the beats. We don't just rubberneck at chaos. We analyze it, memorize it, and queue it up on Netflix like a trauma playlist. So if you find yourself revisiting a video where someone completely ruins their career in real time, or rewatching a top 10 most embarrassing moments on live television, you're not sadistic. You're just letting your predictive brain flex a little. It's like emotional karaoke. You know the pain, you know the lyrics, and somehow that makes it feel good.